In the English language world, the traditional publishing business is based primarily in New York City, and it's dominated by 5 massive publishing groups. The Big Five have acquired and merged with other smaller publishers repeatedly over their histories, and they are, in turn, each owned by larger media or holding companies. The legacy of these mergers and acquisitions is evident in the many publishers and imprints you'll find listed within each of the Big Five publishing groups. Other imprints or publishers are not the result of acquisitions. Rather, they were created within their parent publisher to focus on a particular brand or a specific target audience, such as, say, readers of science fiction horror or Edwardian romance. The use of the terms publisher and imprint within the big publishing groups is unfortunately not consistent, but it's really not that important for you as an author to distinguish between them. Here's what's important, though. If you pitch to a major publishing group, you won't pitch to the entire company. Rather, you'll figure out which imprint or publisher within that group is best suited to your book, and you'll pitch it to them. To a degree, each of these imprints or publishers has their own creative values, their own culture, their own personality. The imprint's publishing parent may provide the reach and the infrastructure that a bestseller needs to succeed, but it's the imprint with which you'll have the most close working relationship. Now, you don't need to memorize the organizational charts of the Big Five, but it's useful to know a little bit about each one. So first, Penguin Random House. Before their recent merger, Random House and Penguin were already separately behemoths in the U.S. publishing market. Joined, they are the undisputed 800-pound gorilla of U.S. publishing. Penguin Random House is co-owned by Bertelsmann and Pearson plc, who previously owned Random House and Penguin, respectively. The company publishes, well, anything you can think of. Whatever your book's subgenre or topic, there's probably an imprint at Random House that publishes it. The company's reach in English language publishing is absolutely unmatched. Next, HarperCollins. HarperCollins is a highly respected English language international publisher owned by Rupert Murdoch's News Group. It was formed by the merger of 2 major US and UK publishing groups. The combined company has a very diverse collection of publishers and imprints across all areas of publishing. But if you read romance novels, you're sure to know about Avon and Harlequin, which are both owned by HarperCollins. Next, Simon & Schuster. Simon & Schuster is owned by CBS. They publish respected work in many, many areas. Scribner is perhaps their best-known publisher. Scribner was formed all the way back in 1846 and has published a long list of award-winning novelists. It's the home nowadays of Stephen King, Ernest Hemingway, and many other giants of the literary world. The Macmillan Group is a division of Holtzbrinck, which is itself one of the largest international publishing groups. Macmillan is a very, very eclectic publisher with many diverse imprints, and it has the most mind-bogglingly diverse organizational chart. It's the hardest of the major publishers to define because Macmillan, more than the other sites, lets its individual imprints operate with considerable independence and autonomy. Macmillan publisher Farrar, Straus & Giroux, often referred to in the business simply as FSG, is one of the most respected publishers of literary fiction in the nation, of the sort that wins national book awards with disproportionate frequency. Tor and Forge publish some of the most respected literary science fiction and fantasy. Picador is the premier publisher of trade paperbacks. If your FSG hardcover wins the National Book Award, you'll very likely end up with a contract from Picador to publish the trade paperback the next year. And finally, Hachette Book Group. Hachette Book Group was formed when Hachette Livre, a major international publisher based in France, acquired the Time Warner Book Group from Time Warner. The most notable publisher within Hachette is Little Brown and Company, one of the nation's oldest publishers. So those are the Big Five. Now, there are pros and cons to pursuing a publishing deal with the Big Five. If your book has genuine promise of becoming a big bestseller, the Big Five are the very best prepared to get you there. They have the organizational infrastructure, the industry reach, the capital, and all the other resources needed to get millions and millions of copies of your book into every bookstore, airport newsstand, and grocery store line in the English-speaking world. They know how to get you on the Today Show. They have speakers bureaus that can have you keynoting at major book festivals and giving readings in major venues. They can do all this, but that doesn't mean they necessarily will for you. Putting aside for now the challenge of even getting accepted for publication by one of the big five, the experience for many accepted authors can feel like riding along on an assembly line in which you get very little personal attention and in which there's little room for customizing the approach to your unique book. If you're James Patterson or Patricia Cornwell, or if you're a major party presidential candidate or a star of a hit reality TV show, in short, if your books have guaranteed bestseller written all over them, then sure, you'll get the red carpet treatment as only the big five can roll it out. But below these rarefied realms, authors published by the big five can sometimes feel like they're just cogs in a very, very large factory. That said, your own imprint within the big five may mitigate some of the challenges of working with such a mammoth publishing company. They may give you more personal attention, and they may advocate well on you and your book's behalf. You need to research the reputation of the imprint or publisher you're targeting, but when the imprint is good, a big five publishing group's reach combined with a dedicated imprint looking out for you can set you up for major success. Okay, so we're going to give you your first assignment of this course. We'd like you to seek out the websites of the big five and identify an imprint or publisher within at least 3 of the 5 that you think might be well suited for your book. Consider sharing what you find on the discussion boards. So take a moment to do that, and then we'll see you in the next lecture. See you there.